The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
DJ Baller, you killed this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to College Football Coast to Coast. It is a few days before Christmas here, and we are getting rolling with the bowl games. They've continued to run. We're getting bigger and bigger. We're building up. We've had some very incredible finishes in some bowl games. Last week, we had that incredible finish between Western Kentucky and Old Dominion. Heck of a game. Unbelievable for Old Dominion to come back and win that game. So a lot of great games. I mean, there's fantastic games coming up this weekend. Of course, there's games coming up for today, so you got some huge games in the makings. These are kind of the ones that not too many people will be paying attention to because these are some 500 teams, but look out. These are some actually good bowl games for some 500 teams. We had a lot of teams at 6-6, 7-5 this year. So they're really getting their opportunity. Bear with me. I've been sick lately, so I'm battling through. I'm feeling a lot better, but still battling through a little bit. Let's hop right into it because we have a lot of games. We've got a lot. So let's start with December 23rd here. Let's get it rolling with our bowls. First one on the docket is the 76 Birmingham Bowl. Of course, it's not the year 76. It's the gas company 76. It is the Birmingham Bowl Stadium right downtown in Birmingham, right there in that massive hole of that town. This game here is between the Troy Trojans and the Duke Blue Devils. Troy's playing in their home state. They get a big win. They win the Sun Belt Conference only because JMU can't play in it for the last time that they can't play in it. They can play in it next year. So we're looking forward to JMU coming back next year and hopefully wiping the floor with everybody in the Sun Belt Conference there. But Troy did win the Sun Belt Conference this year. Duke had a very good season this year, off to a strong start, ranked in the top 25, kind of held strong there for a while. Riley Leonard gets hurt. They start falling apart a little bit. This game here, interesting game. This is no head coach for either team as both of them have moved on. Mike Elko has moved on. He's gone to Texas A&M. Troy's head coach has moved on. I'm not sure if he's declared where he's gone yet.
Going to Tulane.
He's going to Tulane. That's right. So he's going to Tulane, off to bigger and better things. Both teams are without their starting quarterbacks. Also, Troy's quarterback has left and Duke's quarterback has left. Riley Leonard, he has gone to Notre Dame. So tale of the backups here for both teams. As it stands, I believe more in Duke. I'm going to go with the Blue Devils in this one. I think a better all-around team. I think they're built for the bowl season.
Yeah, this is a bunch of opt-outs. That's what we get for bowl season. It sucks. But whenever you play in a Birmingham Bowl like this, I just don't think that no one really cares about it. But all in all, this is definitely going to be a good game. Like you mentioned, Troy got off to a slow start in the 2023 season, but really picked it up. That defense played like that Troy defense that we thought in the preseason. They really ran through the Sun Belt Conference, even without James Madison being in the mix. And then Duke, on the other hand, they were the talk of the town in college football. They were like 5-0, 6-0 going into the Florida State game, and then they lose that one, and then just everything, the wheels just fell off for Duke. But they can still cap off, a good season. I know that Mike Elko is no longer there, but the future definitely looks bright for them with Manny Diaz coming from Penn State, a success that he had being Penn State's DC. But I think that, like you mentioned, like no quarterbacks pretty much in this game. Troy's quarterback is leaving, probably going to head to Tulane to follow his head coach. And then, Riley Leonard heading to Notre Dame. So without no head coaches, without any quarterbacks, this is probably going to be a defensive battle. And these are two really solid defenses. This is probably going to be a very slow out the gates game. But I just trust more in Duke right now. I just think that on paper, they're the better football team. And I think that this is going to be a close game. Troy pretty much has a home field advantage in this one. It's just a drive up north for them. So nonetheless, I am going to go with Duke to cap off an okay season. I'm not going to call it a great season. I think it probably could have been better, a 9-win or a 10-win season with the way that the ACC was set up this year. But I have the Blue Devils winning in Beham.
Let's move on to our next one here. We are headed to Fort Worth, Texas. Or, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. Never mind. We're headed in the state still, just down the road to Montgomery, Alabama for the Camellia Bowl. Here, the Camellia Bowl is between Arkansas State and Northern Illinois. Two teams that had okay seasons. Arkansas State kind of went on a run towards the end of the season. They're a team that can score a lot of points on the other side of the ball. Northern Illinois is more of a defensive football team. Both teams kind of squeak under the radar for their conferences. I feel better taking Arkansas State. I feel that they have the most potential in this one. I know that Northern Illinois has a history of playing really well in bowl games, showing up. But I just feel Arkansas State, this is their year that they can actually get a bowl win. Turn this program around. I think that it's in the works. It's just really slow moving process. I think the Sun Belt's getting bigger, and I think it's growing for Division I football. And I think it's the best conference outside of the Power Five. So I'm going to roll with Arkansas State.
Yeah, when I have the opportunity to pick the Sun Belt team to win, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with Arkansas State. There's been some games this year where their offense, they put up 70, I believe, against one of the Sun Belt teams. I can't remember who it is. It might have been Texas State. I'm not sure. But
it was, 77 against Texas State.
Yeah, they put up 77. We'll see if they can do 77 against Northern Illinois. We'll see if they allow it. But this might be an offensive battle. Northern Illinois also has an explosive offense. But I'm just going to go with Arkansas State. They're a more experienced bunch. Like I mentioned, Sun Belt, Fun Belt, got to go with them. So give me the Red Wolves.
Yeah, moving on to our next bowl game here. Of course, it's the Armed Forces Bowl brought to you by Lockheed Martin. This one here, well, it's the tale of two teams that were undefeated for the majority of the season. Really good teams that could have deserved a lot better bowl game than this bowl game. Air Force on one hand start the season 8-0. They lose their last 4 games of the season, finish 8-4. On the other side of the ball, you have JMU. JMU finishes the season fantastic. Really, I think they were on pace to be a really good undefeated football team. They would have won the Sun Belt the last 2 seasons if they would have been in. Of course, there was a lot of back and forth about that. I feel that this is too much for Air Force. I think JMU has way too much offense for Air Force, so I'm gonna roll with James Madison. I just think James Madison is built for Division I football. I think that their offense is built for high-powered offense, and I think that this is their big opportunity to get a big bowl win. Against a really good Air Force team. I know that record looks like they've fallen apart, but they're still a really good football team. They're going to come in juiced, I think, for an Armed Forces bowl game. So JMU is going to have their hands full, but I think they can get it done.
Yeah, these are definitely the two teams that I talked heavily about leading up to the season. I knew that James Madison, after a good first season in the Sun Belt, they were going to come back. And then Air Force, one of my early picks to be the New Year's Six representative. It was looking good for the first 8 weeks of the season. And after that, the Army game, they only put up 3 points in that game. They gave up 20 to Army. But after that, they faced off against Boise State. They didn't look good. Fresno State pretty much wiped the floor with them. So Air Force, playing in the Armed Forces Bowl, it just feels wrong to pick against them. But I am. I'm going to go with James Madison. Even with their head coach going to Indiana, their quarterback might be entering the transfer portal as well. Who knows if he's going to be starting on this one? The bowl games, you never know who's going to be on the field. But I'm going to go with James Madison. As a whole, I just think that their offense is better suited for this one. Air Force, you got to air it out sooner or later, and you got to do it against James Madison because James Madison has one of the best rush defenses, and you're not going to be able to rush against them. So I think that James Madison is going to win this one. I think this one is going to be close, but I'm going to go with the Dukes to win this one.
Yeah, we're both going with the Dukes to win this one in a really good football game there. Moving on to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise, Idaho. Great bowl game here this year, I think. Georgia State is playing against Utah State in this one. Two teams that come in kind of middle of the road for their conference. Um, on one hand, Georgia State playing really good football up until kind of the midway mark of the season, fell apart a little bit, lost some games back to backs, and really got into trouble there, losing their last 5 games to end the season. I mean, that's tough for you to, and for you to make a bowl game after losing 5 in a row. That just means how good you started the season and how terrible you finished the season. Kind of just a bad way to end the year with 5 losses. On the other hand, I think Utah State is more built for this type of football, especially in this part of the country. Being in Boise, Idaho, just down the road, I think that this game sets up good for Utah State. So I'm gonna take Utah State to win this one. I think the Aggies are better than what people think they are. With a young quarterback back there who kind of made his mark last season, I think that this is kind of his time to take this team and really develop it into the next level of their conference. And I really think that they can make a big push next year in their conference with the right coaching and the right recruiting. On the other side, Georgia State, I just feel that they're in the dumps now. I just think they're too far gone for this season.
Yeah, it was a tale of two halves for Georgia State. They started off the season pretty well, and then the second half, I feel like a lot of teams in the Group 5 really hit that brick wall when they enter the second half. Georgia State did that, but this is what the bowl game is for. You can erase that 5-game losing streak and pick up a win here. I'll tell you one thing: Georgia Southern, their brothers down the road didn't do well against Ohio. I'll tell you that. But we'll see if the state of Georgia can pick up a win here in the bowl game. Like you mentioned, Utah State, they're definitely better suited, geographic wise to win this game. But you know what? I'm going to go with Georgia State. I don't know why I'm going with Georgia State. I just have a feeling that they're going to break their curse. Utah State has also been an up and down football team. So this is probably going to get ugly there on the blue field, but give me the Panthers to win this one. It's going to be a close one, but I'm going to go with Georgia State.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good bowl game there for the Idaho Potato Bowl. Let's go to the newest bowl game here for this season down in Mobile, Alabama. It is the 68 Ventures Bowl, and formerly known as the Lending Tree Bowl for this one, but of course, new name. I think really good logo. I think that done a good job with it so far. I think it'd be a good bowl game. Kind of our first taste of a team playing at home for a bowl game. So it is South Alabama playing in their home stadium in Mobile, Alabama, my alma mater, up against Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan is traveling a long way for this one. They're coming out of the snow and into the nice 65, 70-degree weather to enjoy it in southern Alabama. I think that this one here, for me, it's not even close, only because South Alabama's playing at home. They're a 17-point favorite. It's the biggest line in all of bowl season, is 17 in this game. So South Alabama really has a lot to live up to in this game because of them playing at home. I think there's a lot of anticipation on them running this team over and just kind of outscoring them big time. And I think South Alabama can do it. This is virtually a home game for them, regular season game. Give me the Jags to get it done in Mobile.
Yeah, this feels like pretty much a lock, but I want to talk about South Alabama. I think that they're definitely one of the bigger disappointments of the Group of 5. I think that as much as they had coming back, they're coming off of a 10-win season. I know that in the last bowl season, it did definitely not turn out well in the New Orleans Bowl, but you heading into this season, you know that James Madison was going to be Troy was going to be good, but then you go 6-6. This was, them, they beat Oklahoma State pretty handily. They won 30-7. And I thought after that, they're going to get it rolling. But nope, it was definitely an up and down team. That defense really struggled in some of the games. But this feels like a lock pretty much. South Alabama definitely won some revenge on last year's bowl show. And I think that in their home stadium, it would pretty much be a travesty if Eastern Michigan comes into their home stadium down there in Mobile. So I think that South Alabama, it definitely is a big point spread. I don't know if I want to touch that at all, but I definitely feel confident with South Alabama, especially at Hancock Whitney Stadium. I mean, they've been pretty much playing there for years now. So give me the Jags to win this one pretty convincingly.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one there in Mobile. On to the West Coast. Let's go to Las Vegas, the City of Lights. It is the Las Vegas Bowl presented by SRS Distribution. Northwestern up against Utah. Now, historically speaking, this bowl game has been absolutely owned by the Pac-12, only because of it being out west. Of course, you remember last year, Oregon State absolutely ran over Florida and pretty much gifted them a field goal. Well, actually, they didn't gift them a field goal. Florida actually took the dumb play and decided to
Yeah.
take a field goal at the end of the game just to get points on the board, which I think was stupid. So basically, it was a shutout. Let's just call it what it was. And Oregon State absolutely just ran them over. I think you're going to see the same story here. Northwestern had a great end of the season. Congrats to them. They absolutely played unbelievable football to get themselves back into contention and to get a bowl game. Can't remember the last time Northwestern was in a bowl game. It's been a long time for the Big Ten for Northwestern to get there. On the other side, disappointment of the Pac-12 is Utah. Injuries have played them again this year. I think this is their time to actually get a win with, Barnes as quarterback. I think he's playing. I'm not sure if he's transferred out or not. But I'm going to roll with the Utes in this one. I think Utah can get it done. Just feel like the better team to me.
Yeah, I definitely think that, I wouldn't really call Utah disappointment. I think that injuries definitely played them without Cam Rising. That offense wasn't able to get it going, but that defense, man, they were keeping them in the ball games and pretty much won a couple of ball games. You go back to that UCLA game, that was a defensive struggle for both of those teams. Northwestern, with all of the crap that they went through in the offseason to go 7-5, I think they're definitely one of the stories in the Big Ten and in college football. But I just don't know how they're going to be able to score on this Utah defense. Not many teams have been able to say that they have. It's probably going to be Nate Johnson starting their quarterback. I believe that Barnes has already entered the transfer portal, so I'd be shocked if he comes back in this bowl game. So I think that you're going to get a lot of rushes from both Nate Johnson and a load of their running back by committee that Utah likes to run. So this is going to be a grounded pound game. Probably not going to be a lot of points scored in this one out there in Vegas, but I feel confident going Utah. I think that they get this win and build momentum for next season going into the Big 12. Cam Rising coming back. I think we look at Utah going into next year. If you want to pick one of your favorite teams going from one conference to the next, I think that Utah could be a team that could potentially win the Big 12 next season.
Yeah, I think Cam Rising could be on Heisman watch potentially next year, coming back if he stays healthy. Let's go to Hawaii here. This is a lovely vacation bowl game that we love to talk about, the vacay bowls. This one is Coastal Carolina. They're headed all the way from the East Coast, all the way out in the Pacific Ocean, the lovely island of Hawaii, to face off against San Jose State. This one here, I mean, for me, it's everything that starts from travel, from the time that Coastal Carolina gets on the plane to the time they land there. A lot of time, is going to go by. They really have to log in, really be aware of what's going on for San Jose State. I believe they played here not too long ago. They played in Hawaii. So I think they're used to it. I think really this is kind of a normal travel for them. This one I think is pretty easy for me. I'm going to go with San Jose State. Personally, just feel like the better team here. Grayson McCall is no longer with Coastal Carolina. Coastal just looks like they're going to be in the rebuild mode in the Sun Belt Conference. I think they're a middle-of-the-road team next year with what they bring back.
Yeah, I think that without Grayson McCall here, that's definitely a big blow for this team. But we saw Ohio, what they were able to do with their backup. So, don't count out a team just because the quarterback is out. But I think that travel definitely is going to come to play in this one. San Jose State, I'm going to go with them. I think that they've been a team that, we talk about in the Mountain West. Boise State ultimately won it. Fresno State was a good team, Air Force. But San Jose State 7-5. We're a middle of the road team there, but they played well against USC for about 3 quarters before Caleb Williams went off in that game, but I think that Coastal is the better team, but I think that travel is just going to be too much for Coastal to handle. Plus, pair that out with Grayson McCall not being on that roster anymore. I think that San Jose State should win this one in Hawaii.
Moving on from this one here, let's go to the city of Detroit, the Quick Lane Bowl here. Interesting one here. Two teams that I just feel that it's going to be probably the most exhausting, like mentally boring game of the entire bowl season here. Bowling Green up against Minnesota. Biggest story regarding this game is I allegedly Minnesota's quarterback was given $30,000 to play in this game instead of opting out. So we'll see what PJ Flex got up his sleeve. That's a little interesting. But for me, Minnesota they can't score the football, and that's the hardest thing. Like, they cannot score the football. It is hard to watch. Defensively, they're a great football team. Offensively, God, they cannot score. On the other side of the ball, Bowling Green, all they can do is score. So, I mean, really, it's a toss-up here. Minnesota's the favorite, but I'm going to roll with Bowling Green. I think this is the time a group of 5 team gets it done and really comes in to take down a Power 5 team, or if you want to call them a Power 5 team. I just think that for me, Bowling Green is that team to come in there and upset and say, hey, look, we got a big bowl win against a Big Ten team. So I think this is where they get it. So I'm going to roll with the Bowling Green.
Yeah, I'm not excited about this matchup. This is a very boring matchup. I'm just going to go ahead and make my pick, Minnesota. I know that they're 5-7. They're the only 5-7 team in the bowl game because there's no more 6 and as you can see, the Quick Lane Bowl is supposed to be Big Ten versus the ACC. But I guess both conferences just sucked it up this season and didn't have enough 6-16s that Bowling Green had to go into this one. But I'm just going to go with Minnesota. I know that they can't score, but I think that their defense will keep them in it. And by the grace of God, the Golden Gophers will finally get their 6th win of the season.
Yeah, that's going to be a very, very boring game there after Christmas. So yeah, for it to start off with that, I mean, good God, that's going to be painful. Let's go over to a little bit more exciting football game here. We're headed to Dallas, Texas for the First Responders Bowl presented by Surf Bro. This one here, Texas State versus Rice. Texas State is a team that they said had a chance in the Sun Belt Conference. They had a chance to win the conference and go to the conference championship, and they blew it. I mean, they really just kind of let it go down the drain. And I don't know how they did that. It's just unbelievably how they let it go and, let Arkansas State put up 77 on them. And really, that was just kind of the turning point and the tipping point of them falling apart. On the other side, Rice has been in limbo all year long. Limbo, I mean, just that's what Rice football does, I think. So I'm going to go with Rice. They're playing in Texas still. Give me the Owls. I think that they can do it. And for a team to be called the Owls, it just, you got to roll with them. And especially with a logo like that. Like, if you guys are watching the show, that's a great logo. I think that should be on their helmets instead of that stupid R. It looks terrible.
Well, they have a fantastic logo and all, but they ain't going to win this game. I'm going to go with Texas State. Impressed with them. Don't forget that this was a team that beat Baylor. I know Baylor definitely did not have the season that they were hoping for, but obviously the Rice story has been off the field. JT Daniels has retired in this one, so they had to go with one of the brothers of McCarthy as their quarterback. He's definitely been playing well down the stretch. But I'm just going to go with Texas State. I definitely think that they really had a good season. And I'm going to go with TJ Finley, former LSU quarterback, former Auburn quarterback as well. So some ties to the SEC. So this is where my SEC bias kind of goes in. But this is also a Sun Belt team. So I always pick the Sun Belt school unless I don't pick them and pick Ohio like I did last week. Thank God I did. But I'm going to go with Texas State. I'm just saying that their offense is going to be too much. This might be an offensive battle because Texas State's defense down the stretch has been playing too well either. Texas State in the Battle of Texas in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, 10 Sunbelt teams have made it, but halfway through, they're 1-4
Yeah,
in
that's
bowl
rough.
games in the Sunbelt Conference. That's a rough for 10 teams to make it, and for only one team to win so far. Moving on from this game, let's go to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl in Phoenix, Arizona. Here it is Kansas versus UNLV. I won't take long. I think Kansas has got it. They're going to finish off the season well, and give me the Jayhawks.
Hey, this is our first of our spiel of our MLB stadiums having a football game in Chase Field. We'll see if Kansas can play like the Diamondbacks did down the stretch outside the couple last games in the World Series. But yeah, UNLV, they were definitely a surprise in the Mountain West. I was surprised that they didn't win the Mountain West, especially playing in Las Vegas, but Boise State took it to them. But whenever I get a chance to pick Kansas, I'm going to pick Kansas. You know who I'm going with. Jason Bean and the boys, baby. I think that Kansas moving forward, though, like with Texas and Oklahoma leaving the conference, watch out for them. I think that they could be a sneaky pick to make it to Arlington, Texas next year and make it to the Big 12 championship. A lot of guys returning, Jalen Daniels, he announced that he's coming back. With Lance Leipold, I think that was a slam dunk hire for Kansas. Kansas was in the dumps of
Absolutely.
football program, but I think moving forward, they're going to be a team. I think that they got to work on that defense still. That defense was still shaky throughout the season. I think that their offense is definitely going to be appealing. But I'm going to go with Kansas. I know this is in Phoenix, but I just think that Kansas overall is just a better football team. I think they're going to take it to UNLV. So give me the Jayhawks. They finish off with their 9th win of the season. I think that they could definitely build off that heading into 2024.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot to talk about with Kansas going into the offseason, especially with the big stadium reno that they're going on with right
Oh, yeah.
now. Lance Leipold, obviously, I think one of the best hires in the last 2 years in college football. So I really think that they are on the move to be a really dominant team in the Big
You
12
can
between them
guarantee
and UCF.
Kansas win.
Between them and UCF, I really think that those are the two up-and-coming teams with the Big 12. So we'll see what Kansas brings in this one, and we'll talk about them a lot in the offseason, I think. Moving on to our afternoon game on the 26th, or on the 27th, I'm sorry, the day after Boxing Day. This one here is the Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com. I think that this game here, it's a lot more than what the two schools look like in record-wise. VT, Virginia Tech, I can't remember last time they had a decent season. It's been a long time. Kind of in up and down mode with Brent Pry as their head coach. It's just kind of all over the place. I'm not quite sure everything that's gone on with the Hokies. It's just back and forth and it's all over. Creation. On the other side, Tulane, successful season last year, pretty good season this year. Kind of fell apart at the end. But I think the story is that, no quarterback for Tulane really in this one. No head coach for Tulane in this one. Tulane's missing a lot of pieces here. So I'm going to go with Virginia Tech. I think that they can finally get it done. And there's no way I'm picking against that mascot. There's no freaking way I'm picking against the Hokie. That thing is the most menacing looking overweight mascot of all time. Looks like he just ate a turkey. And it's just one of those where I feel like VT is bound for bowl season. I think they're built for bowl season. I just wish they would do better in the regular season and really put themselves in positions to make themselves a team that potentially is on the cusp of a New Year's Six game. And I just feel like they need those pieces. They need a quarterback. They have defense, but they just need an offense. That's what they need. They really need somebody to come in there, get a big hire at offensive coordinator, and just build that offense. That's what they need for Virginia Tech. But yeah, I think they're going to bring it back to Blacksburg and be really happy with the win.
Yeah, I thought that this was going to be easy pick heading into this one. Yeah, but Willie Fritz, he's moving on to Houston, going to the Big 12, and then Michael Pratt opted out to get ready for the NFL draft. He'll probably be like a 3rd round or a 4th round pick is what I'm seeing. But this is what the bowl season brings you, a team that I just don't think that Tulane really cares about being in this bowl game. I think that the loss with SMU destroyed their chances of going into they could be where Liberty is, playing Oregon out there in Phoenix, but they're not. Instead, they're playing in Navy's backyard and playing the Military Bowl against the 6-6 Virginia Tech team that's been up and down as they can be the past couple of years. VT definitely had that run the past couple of years, and then they've just been down in the dumps. But they could definitely change that with a victory over here against Tulane, and I think that they do it. I think that Tulane is going to. I think that Virginia Tech getting 10 points is definitely absurd in this one. I think that Tulane is definitely going to cover that. Tulane, last time that they were out with Michael Pratt was against Ole Miss. They played pretty well, and then Ole Miss's offense really came to life in that one. Obviously, it's different circumstances. Virginia Tech is no Ole Miss, but I'm going to go with Virginia Tech in this one. They definitely need this one heading into next season. Just build some momentum going into the ACC in 2024. But give me the Hokies, baby. Virginia Tech growing up, hearing Enter Sandman, they've definitely been one of my favorite teams to follow. So I think got to go with the Hokies winning this one over their Wave.
Yeah, let's go to the most exciting bowl game outside of the New Year's Six. Let's go with the one where you better get the mayo ready. With the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Chet's favorite bowl of all time. If you go over to the Sports Scramble podcast, you can check that out. That guy is literally gassed for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. We have to get Chet there for the Duke's Mayo Bowl eventually. North Carolina is basically playing a home game here in Charlotte up against West Virginia. This one, unpopular opinion. I think West Virginia had one of the best end of the seasons out of anybody in college football. I think West Virginia, honestly, really got the short end of the stick to begin the season. Of course, they played against Penn State. They got absolutely friggin' destroyed. But I think that, on the other hand, West Virginia, I think they're a decent football team. I really do. And, had this still been the Big East, I think that, West Virginia still has a chance, with stuff like that. I mean, it just feels like they're in the wrong place right now as far as conference goes. I think they really belong in the ACC. If you ask me, I don't think they belong in the Big 12. It just doesn't look right for them to be where they are conference-wise. So maybe some realignment in the future, they can, get into the ACC. I think that's where they belong as far as their team goes. But yeah, I feel that the Mountaineers can get it done. I'm going with West Virginia. How can you not go with the guy holding the musket there? I just think North Carolina with Drake May out the door, going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I just think that it's just going to be rebuild mode for them, starting with quarterback. I think there's a lot of pieces that they need. Recruiting has fallen apart with them, I think, just to watching the early signing days and stuff. They really haven't hit really any big names there within the top 300. So I just feel that this is kind of West Virginia's chance to really get a good bowl win and really get themselves into the mode of let's rebuild, let's get this team back to what it used to be. So I know Pat McAfee would appreciate that pick for picking West Virginia.
Oh, yeah, McAfee is definitely going to go with West Virginia. But the Mayo dump isn't the only dump that we saw in the bowl season. A couple of days ago, Scooter's Coffee dumped coffee on the winning head coach. So maybe that's a new tradition.
Twice.
Yeah, well, you got to get the extra caffeine in you or something. But yeah, this is definitely a great bowl game to watch. I think that West Virginia, they, like you mentioned, I mean, starting your season in Happy Valley is not really the season that you want. That's like back-to-back rough road trips. Last year they started off on the road against Pitt, and then this season they start on the road to Penn State. So hopefully next year they get an easier start to the season because they definitely need it. But yeah, West Virginia.
They don't. Unfortunately, they don't.
Oh, they have to.
I don't know what their game is, but I can't remember what their game is.
Is it Penn State again? Do they finish at the home and home next year, or is it somebody else?
Let me look while you're.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make my pick. I'm going to go with West Virginia on this one. If you really want to talk about one of the more disappointments, it's been North Carolina. You really look at the ACC how it finished up. I mean, it was pretty much Florida State and anybody else. Louisville had a great season. Clemson didn't have the season that they hoped. Duke kind of fell off. Miami didn't have the season too. But North Carolina losing to Georgia Tech and Virginia in back-to-back weeks pretty much destroyed this whole entire season. Drake May, you pretty much wasted a generational talent of him. You had Tez Walker coming back. He had a good season. We'll see if he plays in this one. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with West Virginia in this one. This is going to be an offense that's going to score. I'm not going to say that they're going to put up the 70 like they did against Clemson a couple of years back in that insane game, the Orange Bowl. But I think that West Virginia is going to slowly build momentum in the next season. We talk about building momentum in this one. I just think that North Carolina's defense, they can't really stop anybody. They ain't going to be able to stop this Mountaineer offense. So give me West Virginia. Pretty much in a high-scoring shootout, but I think that West Virginia could definitely run away with this one.
Yeah, let's roll through West Virginia's schedule a little bit, and this is why I think that they're kind of in the wrong conference, and this is why. They open the season against Penn State. They're playing at home in Morgantown. Then they get University of Albany. UAlbany's coming to Morgantown as well. Then they have to go on the road to Pitt and play at Pitt. And then they go at Pitt, at Arizona. Arizona is a top 10 team in college football right now. Then they've got Cincinnati on the road again.
That should be
Then they've got Oklahoma State on the road. Oklahoma State is a top 25 team.
My gosh, do they ever play at home?
Then they're on the road again at Texas Tech in Lubbock. And Texas Tech is going to be a top 25 team again next year, I think. Back home against Baylor, Kansas State, Iowa State, and UCF. So I just feel they're in the wrong conference. I just think that that's not where they belong.
Might be like a 6-6 or 7-5 season next season.
I mean, if they're lucky, that's the thing about it. That's the tough part. Is you have a lot of big hitting teams there, and West Virginia is going to take the brunt of a lot of games, unfortunately. But we're rolling with them to get a win here for the Mountaineers up against North Carolina. So let's go to our next one here. Let's go over to the Holiday Bowl presented by DirecTV. I don't know who has DirecTV anymore with the state of everything going on, but
I have DirecTV stream.
Tyler has DirecTV streaming. I don't anymore. I don't know. DirecTV. Now it's different. Like they used to have the satellite, and it was just God. It was terrible. Every time there was a dark cloud that came over, you lost friggin' reception. It was ridiculous. But never mind. I'm done with my rant about DirecTV. Let's talk about this one here. Louisville and USC. USC really a letdown for them to be playing in this bowl game. Congratulations. Go get on your bus and head over to San Diego here. I think this is where, USC really gets a reality check when it comes to they are not going to be the team that everybody's going to talk about, and they're just going to walk in and waltz in with victory. I'm taking the Cardinals. I think that without Caleb Williams, like everybody's talking about, USC is arguably useless, I think, in this one. So unless Lincoln Riley can go out there and throw the football himself, I just don't think that USC has a shot in this one. I think Louisville is going to come out and see that they can get a big bowl win after their letdown in the ACC championship against Florida State. I think that was their really big chance to get it done and really big chance to win it, and win an ACC championship. That was their chance. And I think they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth. And I really think that they can come in and say, we want to end the season on a really high note. And they're going to get a big win in the Holiday Bowl here. I just don't have any belief in USC. I don't know how all these people have this belief in USC, them being a top 10 team. They finished abysmal this season.
Yeah, Louisville, you talk about Florida State being left out of the college football playoff. That affected Louisville's bowl game too, because if Florida State went to the playoff, Louisville was a lock to be to the Orange Bowl because the ACC has a tie-in. Yeah, Florida State being left out pretty much screwed over Louisville as well, going over to the Holiday Bowl against USC. It's pretty much a de facto home game, but it doesn't matter. I don't think that anybody cares about football in Los Angeles with USC, the way that program has been. But you're going to be at Petco Park, Western Metal Supply Company. I'm going to go with Louisville. It ain't going to be close. Honestly, I'm going to say right now, USC next year and make it to the Big Ten, they will not be in a bowl game next year. I will say that. I mean, you look at their schedule, they face off against LSU in Las Vegas, and then after that, good luck getting your sixth win. But Louisville, I mean, they were the surprise of this season. We didn't even talk an ounce about this team in the preseason, with Jeff Brom and come to the mix, Jack Plummer being their starting quarterback. But that defense got after it. There were some games I was really impressed in that Notre Dame game, the Florida State game, the ACC championship. They definitely had every single chance to take over that game, but they just didn't. Their offense struggled in this one, but they don't have to play Florida State's defense anymore. They get USC's trash defense. I think that Louisville is going to win this one. I think that this is like the best bets of the season. No Cale Williams, paired up with that defense the way it's been. Give me the Cards to win this one pretty convincingly.
Yeah, let's go over to the Taxac Texas Bowl here. This is probably one of the better games of this stretch. Texas A&M and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, of course, lost that the Big 12 championship game to Texas. Oklahoma State just felt like they just weren't there. I feel like they had one of the best running backs in the country this season. And offensively, they just couldn't put things together. Quarterback wise, I just felt that was what they missed. Of course, they lose to a group of 5 team in South Alabama. They don't only lose, they get spanked. On the other side, is Texas A&M. Of course, big recruiting, a lot of big news out of there. Mike Elko's coming in to kind of rejuvenate this team. I don't think he's going to be there for the bowl game. I just don't expect that to happen. So, they're going to have somebody there considering Jimbo Fisher is gone. Yeah, I just don't know how to take this game. It's, SEC Big 12. For once, I'm going to roll with the SEC. I'm going to take the Aggies to win it. I just think ultimately they have the most overall better team right now. I just feel Oklahoma State struggling to score the football. It's just too much for them. I think ultimately, I think A&M's defense can step up and get big stops and score when they need to.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these teams are coming off a bad taste of the mouth. A&M coming off a loss on the road, Death Valley against LSU. Oklahoma State getting friggin' manhandled by Texas in the Big 12 championship. They kicked the ball off, and it was already decided. Ollie Gordon definitely was not a factor in that one. So if you want to beat Oklahoma State, pretty much stop Ollie Gordon, you're going to win the football game. But if Ollie Gordon runs hog wild against Texas A&M, we'll see if he can. Texas A&M's it's got a really good defensive front there. They're one of the best in the SEC. If you really follow Texas A&M, then not only are they down to their second string, they're down to their third string quarterback, down to a true freshman. He definitely had some really good games down the stretch. They put up 51 against Mississippi State, and they put up, I believe, like 35, 38 against LSU, but anybody could put up 38 against LSU's defense this season. But I'm not going to go against Ollie Gordon and the Pokes. I thought that they were going to keep it close to Texas, but maybe it's just Texas. Who knows if they're going to win the national championship? We'll see in a couple of weeks. But I think this is going to be a very good game. I think that, wouldn't be surprised if this is like a 31-28 comes down to the wire. But both fan bases are definitely going to travel for this game. Definitely a great game to be a part of down there in Houston. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. I think that if you ask me who's going to win the Big 12 next year, I think that Oklahoma State would definitely be one of my picks.
Yeah, definitely a team I think that could win it here in the near future. Let's go over to Fenway Park. Let's go to Boston, Massachusetts for SMU versus Boston College. The tale of two opposites here. I think SMU, I won't spend long. SMU, I think, is going to run over Boston College. SMU is an offensive powerhouse, and I just feel that they can ultimately win this football game by a lot.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to write off Boston College that much. I mean, they're playing pretty much in their backyard out there in the Fenway Bowl. This is another one, historic. We'll see. There's like 4 of them. You got Chase Field, you got Fenway, you got what else? I don't think you have Wrigley. I don't think they had a regular season game. You have Petco Park, and then you have Yankee Stadium, whatever they call that. But I'm going to go with SMU as well. BC has definitely played some opponents tough. I mean, if you look at it, like they were pretty much the only team that played Florida State close whenever Jordan Travis was their starting quarterback. But SMU, I mean, their offense can score. So if BC don't bring their defense, this could be a game that gets away from them. But I was really impressed with SMU's defense against Tulane. Michael Pratt was playing in that one. Tulane had one of the better offenses in America, and they shut them down. So I think I'm going to go with SMU. This is pretty much a home game for BC, but I just think that really looking at SMU, you get to 12 wins, 12-2 heading on to the ACC. That's absolutely going to be weird. SMU going to the ACC, that just feels weird to me. Don't know why they're leaving the American to the ACC, but we'll see how it works out for them. But maybe they get their first win against the ACC and hand it to Boston
Maybe
College.
so.
But I'm going to go with the Stangs.
Yeah, we're both rolling with the Stangs here in this one. Let's head over to the other baseball park. Let's head over to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx for Rutgers in Miami. I just feel that Miami's too up and down. I know they finished 7-5. Rutgers finished 6-6. Rutgers was 6-2 before their last 4 games of the year. They lost. I don't know how, but well, I know how because they played really good football teams. I mean, they played Ohio State, Iowa, Penn State, and Maryland to finish the season. I don't know about anybody else, but I think that is a very tough stretch of football to play, especially for Rutgers. After starting the season really well at 6-2, I think they're better than what they look at as far as record goes. They can score the football. I think that they are really have rejuvenated what it means to play Rutgers football. And on the other hand, Miami just all over. I just don't know. Van Dyke's out the door. They got a backup in there. They could get a transfer in for next season because they need something if they want to compete in the ACC anymore. Because they are really, really far down on the list of teams really that are up and coming. I mean, they can't. It seems like we talk about them every off season in some capacity, and it's just not enough for them to get in contention whatsoever. So for them, this is a really tough game, especially for the Scarlet Knights to be virtually home down the road. From New Jersey to New York is not very far. So I'm going to take the Scarlet Knights to win it. I think that they get a good bowl game here. They get a good win in back-to-back bowl game appearances. Great for them. Hopefully they can get on a streak here. 3's a streak, so hopefully they can do it.
Yeah, that's a rough end to the stretch there for Rutgers, but very impressed with the way that Rutgers was able to start this season. At least Miami, on the other hand, woof, just another rough season for them. They had some good wins, had some bad losses, but with Van Dyke not being there, I just don't know how they're going to be able to generate the offense. If you look on this paper, if you don't watch college football, you're probably going to pick like Miami in this one just based on the logos. Like if you just sit down and watch this without looking at any film, any players. You look at Rutgers, Miami, you're like, okay, Miami was good back in the 90s. Surely they're going to win this one. Nope, this ain't the 90s anymore. Rutgers is going to win this one, especially up there in the Northeast. A lot of the Scarlet Knights faithful will probably make the road trip at the Yankee Stadium. I don't think that many Miami people, like who wants to go leave like the 70, 80 degrees that has been in Miami to go play in Yankee Stadium is probably the freezing cold weather that's been up there. So I'm going to go with the Rutgers win this one. I think that it's been an up and down season for them, but give me RU to win this one.
Yeah, let's go on to our next one here. Let's go to the old Pop-Tart Bowl down in Orlando.
Let's go.
This is, I think, a great bowl game. That's hilarious, and it looks like a Pop-Tart that somebody bit out of. That's great. It's NC State and K-State in this one at Camping World Stadium. I like both teams. So both teams, I think, have a lot of upside. They're both fiery. They both kind of have that same moxie as far as both teams go. K-State, tough way for them to kind of end the season. I thought that they really had a chance to be really dominant in the Big 12 and really have a chance. They just kind of fell apart. I think, really that loss at the end of the game to Missouri was really the turning point for them. That's a tough way to end a game on a 62-yard field goal, that a guy makes. And I just think that, it's tough for them to really get back on the wagon. For NC State, they kept it close with a lot of games there. They had a chance against Notre Dame. They really, had a really good shot against Clemson. I just felt like they were a team that really was one big step away, like one really good game away from being in contention in the ACC, considering everything that had happened. So for this one, I feel the better of the two teams is a team with a crock pot on their head. I'm going to roll with NC State. I love that crock pot on top of that mascot's head. Don't tell me that's a hat because it's not. That thing looks like a crock pot. So I'm going to roll with NC State. Give me the Wolf Pack.
It's hard not to go against that. That is one of the sick logos in all of college football. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a good one. Both quarterbacks are in the transfer portal, so it's definitely going to be interesting how both generate their offenses. But both of these can get after it on the defense. But I've just been more impressed, though, down the stretch with NC State. I mean, NC State, I feel like if you watch Sports Scramble, I mean, Wade's been rolling with the Wolfpack. So I'm going to roll with the Wolfpack as well. This is going to be a really good game. And Dave Doran's going to get probably poured with all the brown sugar, cinnamon, and Pop-Tarts that you can think of. Like, you got to, as long as it's got to be something. Like, don't do the Gatorade. Just throw with all the Pop-Tarts. So you did it with the Cheez-It Bowl in Orlando. You got to do it with the Pop-Tarts. So that's the only thing I want to see in this one. But I am going to go with NC State, roll with the Fighting Crockpots.
Yeah, we're both rolling with the crock pots there. Let's
I
head
cannot
down.
do it.
Yeah, it's just I can't get it out of my head. It looks like a crock pot. It really does. I mean, nobody can tell me it doesn't. Let's move on to our next one here. Let's head down to Southern Texas again for the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. Great bowl game here. This is the best bowl game outside of the playoff and New Year's Six. This game is absolutely fantastic. I think this could be a New Year's Six bowl game, the way these two teams play. Um, on one side, Oklahoma, without Dylan Gabriel anymore, he's transferred out. Kind of an interesting transfer, by the way. Um, yeah, I feel that Oklahoma, it's just I think that, when they beat Texas, I thought that was really a point where they, if they stayed on the wagon, they could be really, really good. And they could get themselves potentially into a Big 12 championship and just never really amounted to it. Just lost to Oklahoma State, really killed them. And that's really the turning point there with what happened there. On the other side, for the Pac-12, Arizona. Talk about a team that absolutely just came out of nowhere. And we talked about them previously on the show a couple weeks ago. I just think Arizona is really the next team to come in and be really, really competitive. And with the guys that they have, they really don't have any big name guys. It's just guys that are going out there and gonna gut a win out. So for Arizona, really think that uh, they can be the next big team to come out of nowhere and just make a name for themselves. And I think that's what they're doing slowly. For them to finish the season ranked 14th, right there, two behind Oklahoma, an outstanding season for them. 9-3, I believe they finished the season. So I'm gonna roll with the Wildcats. Give me Arizona to get it done on the hardwood and on the grass. I think that they can do it. Just feel like this is a game they can come in and be really dominant against Oklahoma. I think they could win this game by more than a touchdown.
Hey, Arizona hoops looking good and Arizona football looking good. But yeah, Jed Fish. I mean, he's definitely been one of the coaches of the year to watch. I mean, this program is not going to go away. You know, they're going to the Big 12 next year, and like Big 12 is going to be wide open with teams that can be in Arlington. I think that Arizona is definitely one. They're a young football team. They're not going to be losing very much. This is a team that can score on you and they can play some defense. Oklahoma, on the other hand, they can score, but they cannot play defense. You would think with Brett Venables being the head coach, without Dylan Gabriel being there, definitely a weird one going to Oregon, especially with Dante Moore also going to Oregon. That's definitely a weird situation happening in Oregon. Might be a situation where it might just be Dylan Gabriel getting the start, and then Dante Moore is going to get the start whenever Gabriel leaves. But this is my lock of the bowl game season. I feel the most confident in Arizona. I think that, this is in the Alamo Dome down there in San Antonio, but give me the Wildcats to win this one. Finish off a good season, getting 10 wins.
Let's go. Let's go, Cats. That's going to be fantastic for them. Looking a lot for them to talk about in the offseason. I'm sure we'll be talking about their success and them next season, what they bring to the table. Let's head back over to Florida, to Jacksonville, Florida here for number 22 versus unranked. The Clemson Tigers are up against the Kentucky Wildcats here. This one here, I won't spend very long on. Kentucky got railroaded against Georgia. That was really my click that said, Kentucky, I just don't think is going to be that competitive. Alabama went to Lexington and basically beat the brakes off of them. I just feel that this one here is in Clemson's backyard, down the road a piece. I just feel that they can win this game pretty handily, even with Klubniak, where the lack of success that he's had. They're finishing in the top 25 somehow. I don't know how, but I'm gonna roll with the Tigers. Give me the Clemson Tigers to win another bowl game here. Kind of a disappointment for them to be playing in the Gator Bowl with the lack of success that they had this year. One of the biggest letdowns of the season. I think that you and I both saw it coming with how they ended last year in the Orange Bowl against Tennessee. I really think that this was kind of destined to happen. I just think that Dabo kind of washed his hands of everything that was going on and, said, we're just not going to recruit very well. And they paid the price for it. So Clemson, I think they're going to win the Gator Bowl, but a letdown season for them.
Yeah, we saw the letdown coming, but I still picked them to go to the ACC championship. Don't know why, but I agree with you. I am going to go with Clemson. I don't think it's going to be much of a blowout that you were speaking of. I was really impressed with Kentucky the last time that we saw them on the field against Louisville, 38-35 in the victory. Kentucky is always a team that goes undefeated for the first like 5 weeks because they don't really play anybody for the first 5 weeks, and then they play somebody with a pulse. They get spanked, and then they like never recover from that. But Clemson, I mean, these are two teams that it was just not the season that they were hoping for, especially Kentucky. You know, you look at them, you bring in a guy like Devin Leary, coming from NC State, get that experienced quarterback, you know, after Will Levis. The defense, you get pretty much everybody back. You get Ray Davis out of the portal. You have one of your top wide receivers coming back in Dane Key. Pretty much everything set up. Clemson, on the other hand, you know, you're a preseason top 10 team. I don't know why. I don't know why everybody bought into the Clemson hype. I mean, Cade Klubniak wasn't going to be their saving grace, what their fans were talking about. I mean, their defense really kept them in every ball game. Their offense didn't do diddly squat in their losses, though. But I'm going to go with Clemson. This is probably going to be more a defensive battle. Two of these offenses haven't been much impressive down the stretch, but I think that Clemson's defense gets the better hand in this one. So I'll go with the Tigers.
Yeah, moving on from this one, let's head over to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl here. It's going to be a good one, I think, in El Paso. Oregon State, the Beavers are up against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Oregon State and Notre Dame. Oregon State, really good football team. Tough way for them to end the season the way that they did. I felt they gave away games away. They really gave games away because they couldn't score the football. They had just turnovers, couldn't put it in the end zone. I think if that switches out, you know, they could be the team in the Pac-12 to really give it to Oregon and really could have been there for the Pac-12 championship, but they just missed their mark, really, I think, late in the season. On the other side, Notre Dame, I don't know what to say about the Irish. I predicted them to have a 6-4 season, or I think it was 6-4, 6-5. But they finished 7-4. I just or 7-5, 7-4. I can't remember, but I just feel that they're in a space right now where you're gonna lose Sam Hartman. He's gone. Goodbye. Now you got Riley Leonard in there, who's an experienced quarterback for next season. What's going to happen this year without a really good quarterback, playing in this game? They're going to have to stick to the run. On the other side, Oregon State, I just feel that Notre Dame's defense is really good, in my opinion. I think that, they kept it with Ohio State. They really can be a really good team on defense. Offense is going to be a struggle. I just think they give it to the running back and say, let's go. So for me, I think I'm going to go with the Irish. Give me Notre Dame to get it done. Just gut out a win here. I just think that they can do it.
Yeah, this is going to be the hand it off to your running back and let just run for miles and miles and miles, and then just let your defense go after it. This is probably going to be an ugly game on both sides of the ball. Both talented defenses, pretty disappointing teams for Oregon State. I was very high on them. One of my dark horse picks to potentially win the Pac-12. They fell short. Notre Dame, I just don't know about this team anymore. You get Sam Hartman, you run through the schedule, then you lose to Ohio State in a game that you shouldn't have lost. Thanks for ruining our only parlay that we had hopes of winning this one. Oregon State, this is your last breath with the Pac-12, and then you move on to the Mountain West and become a group of five. So they got screwed with the conference realignment. Sorry, Beavers. I feel like I always pick Oregon State in the bowl game, but not this year. I just think that this is going to be an ugly game for both sides. But I'm just going to go with Notre Dame. My confidence is 50-50. I think that this is a coin flip, but I'm just going to go with the Fighting Irish to win this one.
Yeah, let's move on to our next one here in my old hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to Liberty Bowl presented by AutoZone. This one here, I think great venue, by the way. One of the best venues for a bowl game. Crazy stadium. Crazy wacky stadium. This one here, Memphis is playing at home. Now, this is the weirdest thing. They're playing against Iowa State. They're playing against the Cyclones. The Cyclones, Iowa State is playing on the road at Memphis for this game, and Iowa State is the 10-point favorite. There is no chance. No chance. Somebody messed up in Vegas. I think somebody messed up here. I think Memphis is going to win this game. I think Memphis wins it by at least 10. I think it can go 10 the other direction. I think playing at home is too much. I just think that it's too much. Give me the Tigres. Give me the Tigers to get it done. on their home field at the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, playing on their home field, it's Memphis all day. I'm not going to talk about it. Memphis.
Let's get to our last game here. Of course, it's a New Year's Six game. It's the only New Year's Six game that we'll be talking about on this show before we cut it off, because we'll be pushing out the next episode on this day, for next week for the big New Year's Six games. But this is a good game here. I mean, for you to be playing in the Cotton Bowl means that you had a good season within your conference, good enough to make it to a New Year's Six. Ultimately means you're a 1 or 2 loss team at the end of the year. On one side, Ohio State had high, lofty expectations to make it to the playoff. They fell short of that with their loss to Michigan. So they were playing in the Cotton Bowl based off of everything else that has happened above them. On the other side is a team that has been absolutely the highest of highs for us and for the SEC with the Missouri Tigers. I mean, absolutely unbelievable what they've done this season. Ohio State has no starting quarterback with Kyle McCord because he is transferred out and gone to Syracuse of all places.
Woohoo, you get to go
on the other side,
just lost 45-0 to South Florida.
Yeah, that's incredible that he decided to do that. I'm sure he's probably kicking himself right now, or he's saying, well, look what we're going to turn it around. I have no idea, but whatever. So with Missouri, I think Missouri is the next up-and-coming team in the SEC. I think they need to watch out for Missouri. Missouri, I think, is a team that can put a lot of teams in the SEC on upset alert. They are absolutely a team that has a bunch of dogs on it, and it is incredible to see them absolutely run through teams that we think that are going to beat them. I mean, really, if they beat LSU, think about this. If they beat LSU at home, when they played at home, there is no doubt that this team could have been that fourth team to sneak in to the playoff. I really think that they could have been the fourth team to get in. And they probably, I mean, unless, because Georgia, I think, would have fell below them. If they beat Georgia, I mean, think about it.
Because they lost to Georgia.
They're one possession away from beating Georgia in that game. I mean, really, they just kind of turned the ball over and gave it away at the end of the game. And I really think they had a chance to be undefeated this year, which is incredible because we haven't really seen them dominant since, the early 2010s, era. So, I mean, really, this team is up and coming. We're going to be talking about them a lot in the offseason. I think they get it done. They get a big bowl win here for the SEC. So give me the Tigres. Give me the Missouri Tigres with the old MIZ to get it done and get a New Year's Six win.
Yeah, MIZ with Harrison Mevis, the kicker. You got to remember him. I mean, without him, they wouldn't have beat Kansas State maybe. And then, that loss to LSU, definitely could have maybe potentially make it to the playoff. I don't know if they would have, but man, making it to the New Year's Six bowl game, Eli Drinkwitz given the SEC Coach of the Year. He definitely done a terrific job. That offense just absolutely cooked everybody. Literally, Brady Cook at the helm, the quarterback, Cody Schrader, one of the best running backs in the SEC, Luther Burden, one of the best wide receivers in the SEC, and that defense. And then down the stretch has really played well. Ohio State on the other side, they can bring their defense too, but they ain't going to bring no offense. So give me Missouri in this one. I'm an SEC homer. I'm going to go with SEC. I like Missouri, one of my favorite teams to watch this season. They really played well. Their schedule going in the next season really plays well for them. So potentially we might be seeing Missouri and Atlanta. Who knows? But give me the Tigers to win in Dallas.
Let's close out the show here at the hour mark. Let's close it out with the best bet of the game. So we pick, Tyler, give us your best bet of the games.
It's just Arizona and Missouri to cover, honestly. Those are my two best bets of the season, in the bowl season right here. Arizona. I'm just going to go with the two hottest teams in college football. These are the two teams that have been playing hot down the stretch. Missouri brings the offense. Arizona brings the offense. So I think that Arizona and Missouri cover against both of those teams.
Yeah, for me, it's Memphis money line. I think even though Memphis is the 10-point dog, I think Memphis money line. I think they can get it done. That is a lot of money for a 10-point dog for them to win. I think they can do it. On the other side of things, I think it's JMU to cover the 2 points against Air Force. I think those are your best bets for the bowl season for this week, this stretch of the bowls. Of course, we won't see you guys until after Christmas, so I won't say you'll see you in the new year. like I did on the Sports Scramble show, because we won't see you guys till the new year on the Sports Scramble show. But for college football coast to coast, we will see you guys again next week. We will be capping off the rest of the bowl games. And of course, after the new year, we'll be discussing what's left of college football playoff and the national championship coming up. Of course, if you guys want to head over to the Sports Grandma podcast, listen to our latest episode. We talk about all things sports. I've been hosting for the last 2 weeks. Chet's out on his little vacay with his wife in Jamaica. So we've been holding it down over there, holding the fort down while Chet's gone. We're having a good time. We hope you guys come over and have a good time with us. Of course, National Championship Week will be coming up. We have a lot of stuff coming up for that. You will see what's in the works within the next week or so coming with that. So enjoy some football. Enjoy your Christmas with your family. Merry Christmas from college football coast to coast to you guys. And we will see you guys again next week for some lovely New Year's Six bowl games.